What was Lamar Jackson? 3.2 air yards per attempt? The lowest mark in a game in his entire career. His only pass over 10 air yards was a 13-yarder to Rashad Bateman, which we played on the Fan. 3.2 air yards per attempt.
That's a lot of screens. Because when you have, that's a lot of screen passes. But when they're giving it to you, that's the thing, like both of the, just again, and I posted this on Twitter yesterday, of the Cowboys have allowed the 72 points over their last two games. And they've run 106 offensive plays. Those two, the Saints and the Ravens. And 84 of them, they ran the ball. Carr barely passed it. And Lamar barely passed it. They didn't have to. And for 3 air yards, and you're putting up 30 points?
I'm nitpicking you. I'm admitting it. But I even have a problem when you say, well, if they're going to give it to you, they're giving you whatever the hell you want. It's just like, here, let me dunk, and make a play. I know you're going to get into what the Giants should do game plan-wise, Bobby, on Thursday night. You don't think that's as easy of a win as Choppy and I do. But
it better be an easy win.
More on that in a second. I want to hear from some Tolos as well. 877-881-1053. 877-881-1053. I want to know what your emotion is. All right. Now, this morning, I got a little bit hyper than I was planning on and that I've been over the past 2 weeks because the CD Lamb leadership thing really ticked me off because I expect more of CD. And Jerry Jones ticked me off on Friday with KMC. We'll have Jerry tomorrow at 8:30. I have been as content. It used to be with Cowboy games. This is going on 15 years now working together. If they lost, it really didn't. It messed up the rest of my day. Like I would hope that they either had the night game, maybe the 3 o'clock game. My worst nightmare was them losing the noon kickoff, and then I got to sit through the 3 o'clock games and maybe even the night game, and it would mess up like the first 3 days of my week. I have felt none of that this year whatsoever. I'm fine with whatever happens. And I talked about in the offseason, the right shoulder and the left shoulder. I forgot which one is good and which one is bad. But that bad one yesterday was barking in my ear. It was barking. Don't come back. Don't make this closer. No moral victory. Get destroyed even more. I wanted them to get murdered even more. Killed. Blown out farther. And a sick part of me, I haven't decided yet. I'm just being honest with you. A sick part of me wants to see how crazy things get around here if they lose this damn game on Thursday against the New York Football Giants. A sick part of me, because I know this is going nowhere. I was willing to allow early on. Early on, I was willing to be wrong on Jerry, talking about the improvements to the team, and Overshone and Diggs coming back and Mike Zimmer making them tough and having a backbone and a spine. I think it's pretty clear that is not happening and that is not fixed. So since I know it's not going anywhere different than the last 30 years, I kind of want to see freaking chaos. And I kind of want to see what happens if they lose to the Giants and do radio that way. That's just me being dead honest. Sorry.
Be a strange Friday. Strange way to go into a weekend.
Not strange, to be entertaining.
It'd be entertaining for, ideally, okay, so like you get to 1-3, and now you've got an undefeated Pittsburgh team and a Detroit team that probably should be undefeated, and then San Fran, who's got their own problems right now after a bye week. I mean, look, you could sit here and reasonably say that the way the season is shaking out, all right, the Saints lost, they're a good team. Baltimore should not have been 0-2 coming in. They could have very easily been 2-0, at the worst 1-1. Being 1-2 at this juncture, not the end of the world. I think you could have, before the season started, if you were going to go schedule, game by game, you could easily say the Browns game going into the year was a toss-up, and then the Ravens game was a loss. This is probably where they should be anyway. But the way it's happened,
yes,
this team doesn't lose at home. Over the last several years, with Dak as quarterback, they don't lose at home. And they score. Well, now they're losing at home, and they're not scoring the way they should be. Forget those 25 points yesterday. We all know that was a 6 to 12 point offensive performance.
Yep.
It's the way they lost that is kind of troubling.
Kinda. It's disturbing.
It's
really disturbing.
Being nice. I was being polite.
Yeah.
It's very troubling right now.
They have given up the most rush yards in the National Football League over a 2-game span. And I'm unemotional about it for the most part. I'm sitting back, watching, and I'm not getting angry. I'm not getting ticked off, and I just want to know if other Tolos feel the same way.
Yeah, and I mean, they've kind of set this up. Like, they told us it was with the whole controversial all-in statements this offseason.
Yep.
While not really addressing anything, it was dragging contracts along deep into the summer, deep into training camp, and doing all those sort of things that I think it was like, okay, people are kind of sitting there with their arms folded going, show me. You better show me now. And now that it's poor, it's not like there's people getting angry about it. It's almost like they're sitting there with their folded arms. Now they're smirking like, told you.
Yep.
I told you.
Yep. And what happened on Friday, and it'd be one thing if in the offseason they took the stance of, look, this isn't ideal. We got to pay the piper, credit card bills. But then when you tell me, when you think that I'm dumb and misunderstanding something, and you tell me I'm just interpreting it incorrectly, that's insulting. No, you don't know what all in means. So, okay, if I go to the WinStar World Casino and Resort and I say all in, I can throw in half my chips. Like, you don't know what all in means, and you're trying to twist it, and you're trying to spin it. And then you want to act like I'm crazy. It's gaslighting. That is what happened on Friday, in my opinion, when Jerry Jones was asked by the KMC Masterpiece, are we going to see Dalvin Cook against Baltimore?
Well, I don't know that will happen, and I must tell you, this is a little bit of a first for me because I've never seen such made of our position and what we're doing at that position. Running back this year and not having done this or not having done that at running back. Both these guys came out at the same time, the player that we're playing this weekend against Baltimore and Zeke. So we've got a pretty good contemporary of our competition this week in Zeke Elliott. I'm pleased with what Zeke is doing. The big part of the running back deal is protecting the quarterback. That's real good stuff there. Running back is just not on our radar as far as an area of interest.
I'm lit. The wrong type of lit. I'm gas lit. I am gas lit. So Jerry Jones doesn't think that we remember all the love for Jonathan Brooks. Jerry Jones doesn't think I can go on the internet and look up him leaking how high Jonathan Brooks was on their draft board and Steven being like, we haven't drafted yet, Dad. Like, put down the draft board. Jerry Jones doesn't think that we were all in sync in him talking about the need to improve the run game in the offseason. And Jerry Jones doesn't think I can go and remember and look up that Derrick Henry, yes, while coming out the same draft as Zeke, makes 8 a year, and Zeke makes 3 a year. That Derrick Henry was a little bit more sought after than Ezekiel Elliott coming from the Patriots. One makes 8, one makes 3. Coming from the same draft class means nothing. Zip, zero, nada. But we're the crazy media for really focusing and honing in on a draft room with a guy making 3 a year, a guy whose last name we can barely get right in Rico, and then a cute little story in Deuce Vaughn who doesn't look like he could play. And I just never, in all my years, I've never heard a position. Why are you guys doing this? Why are you making such a big deal out of this? Why are you picking on us? That infuriates me. That infuriates me, and it makes me want to see them get theirs. It does. It's sick. It's twisted. It's evil. That's the way I am. That's the way I've always been. Hopefully I change and mature and grow up over time. But I kind of want to see them get theirs for telling us we're crazy for the way we talked about them in the offseason and the way we talked about the running backs. And Kevin Hagelin followed up and said, wait, did you say you're surprised by the running back critique?
When you say you haven't seen anything like this, does that mean you're surprised by how many people keep talking about it or asking you about it, et cetera, when it comes to the running back stuff?
I'm surprised. What have we got? 10, 15 guys that do media. I don't have anybody else in the world ask me about this but some media. And so a few of the media have gotten out here and written stories early about how we're going to go with running back in the draft or how we need a running back, and they're trying to cover their you-know-what as we go through the season.
I respect the gaslighting. I respect it. I really do. I think it takes a special person, and maybe I have been this person at some point in my own life, where you can just blatantly just lie to the face of other people. Like I respect it. I really do. That's a trait. That's a trait that a select few have.
Sounds like Jerry Jones has a Michael Jordan problem. If what he's saying is accurate and true, that Jerry Jones has surrounded himself with a bunch of kiss asses. That Jerry Jones needs to listen to this radio station as much as he does and have PR, give him all the tweets and all the headlines and all the reports, because those are the only people telling him the truth. Because if it's true that those in the building are like, yo, we're good at running back, trust me. If that's true, then they can all go.
Boy, there's no way.
They can all go. Because that's what he's telling us. That's what he just said in that clip. 10 or 15 media people, you're trying to make good on the running back story you wrote. You're trying to cover your own rear end and ass. And those are the only people talking about our running room. The powers that be, the people in that room, my associates, my colleagues, have not uttered a word over it. That's what. Tell me how I'm misinterpreting.
You know how bad this running back room is. Now they don't have the numbers for this week, but they were 9th in run block win rate through the first 2 weeks.
They have the idea of him saying that the only people asking me about this are the 10 to 15 people in the media. Okay, well, aren't you, like, in those meetings as the general manager, isn't that because you're supposed to be asking them the questions and pressing them on what are we doing here? What's this? Like, they're not supposed to be asking you questions about it. Like, you're supposed to be identifying, is this what it's supposed to be?
The Cowboys ranked 31st out of 32 teams in rush yards over expectation. Next Gen said Cowboy backs should be gaining a league-high 5.3 yards per carry.
Right.
Instead, they're averaging 3.7. They're 24th. This was going into the game. 24th in overall efficiency and bottom 10 in most metrics through week 2.
Yeah, which means the offensive line's giving them holes.
Yeah.
And now, granted, I don't generally like to use analytics before like week 4, right? Because there's just not enough data.
And look, I do agree, for the record real quick, I do agree with Jerry of things have to go right. You know, like they're getting destroyed in 2 of the past 3 weeks. Harder to run.
Yeah.
You did take on a really tough Browns defense, a good Baltimore defense, and we think the Saints are good. So not the easiest defenses, and the scoreboard has not dictated that you run.
Correct.
I'll give him that.
That's total rush yards, though. Like, they're still yards per carry very low.
Yeah.
Like, they should be getting much more yards per carry in the few times they do run. And look, even then, when you're down, if you wanted to run, it theoretically should be easier because the other team is going to be in pass coverage.
Minus 17, according to NFL Pro. They were minus 17 rush yards over expectation yesterday.
So the O-line's giving them
more space in theory than they're taking advantage of.